Hey everybody, it's Justin here with another video update. I know it's been a minute since I shared one of these videos with you guys, but I wanted to touch base with you. And in this video, I want to specifically focus on stocks that I call the others. So these are stocks that are outside of the red hot tech trade. They're not AI stocks. There are other sectors and industries that a lot of investors are ignoring right now because so far this year it's really been a tech dominated trade. So we're going to look at some names that are a little bit under the radar, but have been performing really, really well, and I think have a lot of upside in the near term and intermediate term. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to set the stage. We'll just look at what's been happening in tech lately. So this is the New York Stock FANG Index. This index tracks the performances of the FANG stocks and a few other mega cap tech stocks. So it tracks the performance of Amazon, Apple, Meta, Google, Nvidia is also in there, and a few other ones. I think AMD is also in the index. So it just gives us a really good sense of how these large cap, mega cap tech stocks are performing. We can see they've been on a tremendous run lately. After bottoming back in October, they went on this huge run and are coming off several green weeks in a row. I want to count how many there have been actually. So there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're still so far this week we're still green. So that's 9 positive weekly returns in a row. So at this point, it's safe to say that these FANG stocks, these mega cap tech stocks, are stretched. We can also see that on the chart. So we came up and we're banging up against these all-time highs, and you zoom in a little bit here. You can see that we actually wicked off that. So we actually got rejected off that level. And at this point, I think it would only be natural and healthy if these mega cap tech stocks cooled off for a little bit. That could happen through consolidation, or we could see a pullback. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the long story short of all this is that I'm not particularly interested in buying these mega cap tech stocks up here. I'm looking for possible rotation into other areas of the market. So that's what we're going to look at today. The first stock we're going to look at, so this is an industrial name, Arcosa. I've shared this on my Twitter before, and this is actually a stock that I shared in my free e-letter. I have a weekly e-letter that goes out through RiskHedge, and this was this week's pick. And the reason I like this stock right here is a couple reasons. So as mentioned, I think we could see rotation out of tech stocks into other areas of the market. And one area or one sector of the market that I'm watching particularly closely right now is industrials, and that's what Arcosa, it's in that sector. I'm not exactly sure what it does. It's like building materials or something. But as a trader, I'm much more interested in the price action, what I'm seeing. So we can see here, big, round, beautiful base. We broke out of that back here. That was in April. And then after breaking out, we held that level, retested it a few times, even came back down and bounced off that rising 10-week moving average. And now we're starting to see some continuation. See a little bit more clearly. We got a little bit of stair stepper action on the daily. So this was my trade of the week idea, and I just really, really like how this one's setting up. I think this one could run for a few months potentially. Moving along, another area of the market that I want to dive into that's just not being talked about right now is energy. So energy, I want to say, is the worst performing sector this year. And even today, the energy ETFs pulled back. But I think ultimately the large cap energy names such as Exxon and Chevron, I don't think they'll ultimately catch a bid. I think we'll ultimately see the entire sector and industries within energy start to participate. But I think this is a perfect time to be looking for these market leaders within the space. So Vista Energy is a name that caught my attention. I just found it on a scan recently, and you can see here that it's just been a serial outperformer. So since October of 2020, it's up about 1,200% since then. So just a monster stock. I think it's a Mexican energy company, small cap or mid cap. It's not that big. But you can see here when we zoom in on the daily, it looks really, really good. We have some nice volume that came in last week, and now we're pressing up against those all-time highs once again. So this is just a really, really strong stock. It's in a really beautiful uptrend. And if you like buying strong stocks and market leaders, this could be a name that you might be interested in. And I know like a lot of people might see this stock and go, oh, it's super extended. But the thing is, this stock, Vista, has been performing this way when the entire sector, the energy sector and industries within energy have been performing terribly as of late. So I think if we do start to see rotation into energy on a broader sense at the ETF level, then I think this name could continue higher. It's just showing really tremendous strength. And moving along, another name I want to discuss here. This is Consol Energy, and so this is actually a coal name. I just really like how this one's shaping up here. You can see I had this little pullback, built out this little base here. We've reclaimed the 10 and 30-week moving averages, and we're starting to press. So my whole idea for looking at these energy stocks right now is, some people might say, oh, you're a little early, but the leaders within the sectors and the leaders within the industries start to show their true colors before you see it in the ETFs. If you wait for the ETFs to look really strong, the leaders are going to already be up 20, 50, 100% before the entire sector gets going. That's what could happen if you wait for that, to get the green light from the sector level ETF. So I like to look at out of favor sectors, and because at this point, I also think there's a strong likelihood that we'll see rotation out of tech, which will find its way into other sectors. So I think this is a perfect time to be looking for those market leaders within those unloved sectors and industries. So really liking that one. AMR is another coal stock that I like. Similar setup to what we just saw in Consol Energy. You can see it's just basically been trading sideways and basing for a while, but it's starting to show more constructive price action. See, we're back above the 10-week and 30-week moving average. So really liking how that one's shaping up. And then we're going to jump to a new sector, new industry right now, and this is Inspire Medical Systems. This is a medical device stock that I really like how this one's shaping up. I think, energy is an area of the market that I think could see rotation, but I'm also going to be mindful of rotation into healthcare, specifically medical device stocks. So med device stocks are really like the growthy, techie area of healthcare. I know a lot of people think of healthcare as being very defensive, but you can find some really big winners and some really fast growing companies within the space. So this is a name that I like how it's shaping up. It's just showing a ton of relative strength. Already broke out to all-time highs recently, and it just sort of put into this bull flag pattern here. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. This is a biotech name, and I know a lot of people don't like trading biotech. I'm not the biggest fan of trading biotech unless I see a really, really nice entry, and then I'll probably size it pretty small, just because they can be volatile and they can react to news and press releases and ways that shares of actual companies just don't trade like that always. So long story short, they can be really volatile. So you just have to keep that in mind with your position sizing and how you trade them. But this is a name that I've been watching for a while, and I think it's only a matter of time before IMCR breaks out of this space. So you can see that it began its bottoming process back in January of 2022. So just sort of on its own time schedule. And since then, had this huge run up and basically has been building out a huge bull flag, a base up here. So definitely a name to keep an eye on if trading biotechs is something you're into. And then we're going to wrap things up by looking at a couple software stocks. I know at the beginning of this, I said, we could see some rotation out of tech, but the software stocks we're about to look at right now, these are software stocks that are just setting up. They're not extended. So this is StoneCo. This is a name I've shared on my Twitter recently. I shared it yesterday. They had a really strong start to the week this week. So 5%. And I just really like this base that it's breaking out of. It had the initial breakout, came back down, retested this level. It's just a really clean, nice chart. The 10-week moving average is coming up, acting as support. And now we're starting to break out of that handle or base, a bull flag, whatever you want to call it, just basing pattern above the prior resistance that it's flipped into support. So really, really nice name, like how that's shaping up. And then similar setup in VTEX. So this is a UK-based software company. I checked their website. I think they work with Coca-Cola and Nestle and Walmart. Not exactly sure what they do, but as a trader, I really like what I'm seeing from the technicals. So we can see here ahead of schedule is something I often look for. So we can see it bottom back in July of last year, came back, had this initial pop, and then came back and just has really just been building out the space. And now it's starting to press up against it. And it hasn't broken out yet, but the thing that I'm encouraged by, the thing that has my attention is just the big buying volume that we've seen recently. And we can also see the last few weeks, we're working on 4-week screen right now on pretty solid volume is starting to come in. So I think we could be at the early stages of a trend change here. And if this breaks out, this is unlike a lot of tech, high flying tech and semiconductor stocks and other software stocks. It hasn't had its huge burst out where might need to pull back or consolidate for a while. I think this one's getting ready for its initial breakout, to break out of the stage 1 base and begin that stage 2 uptrend. So really liking how this one's setting up here. You can see the 10-week and 30-week moving averages is above both those, and the 10-week starting to turn higher. So definitely a name to keep an eye on if you're looking for some software stocks or some tech stocks that aren't extended. But that's it for today. I hope you found this video informative. I just wanted to cover, the purpose of this video was to just cover some stocks that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. I think everyone, is preoccupied with what Tesla and Nvidia is doing, and it's great that those stocks are doing well. But there's a lot of stocks that we could trade, and some stocks that are not nearly as extended, or they're just better for better areas of the market to put new money to work. So I just wanted to cover that today, but hope you enjoy this.